So I always hear that a lot of women are subconsciously turned off when a guy shows any sign of emotion or vulnerability. Like when a guy reveals emotion inside, she's gonna pull away. And then often it's like, oh, he's so clingy or he's so weak. And you see it every time, like you see a celebrity sad, everyone makes fun of them. Like it's not attractive, like this vulnerability. So what is it like expressing interest or expressing emotion? Why is that such a turnoff?
You have to think about a relationship as phases, and each phase is a bit different. There's the getting to know somebody at the very beginning phase, like meeting someone phase, that requires the skill of packaging yourself and being someone that she wants to go out on a date with and getting her to go out on a date with you. Then there's the everything leading up to sleeping together. Everything leading up to sleeping together is like a second phase. Getting to know each other, and the step there is basically so that she'll go to bed with you. That's the change of and everything. And once that happens, the relationship changes. Now it's more like boyfriend and girlfriend, and now it becomes a sort of you're in it for the long haul, where you're getting to know each other in more and more depth. And it's okay to show your blemishes and your flaws. You can't help it. That's part of knowing another person, letting her know you, and then she's also revealing the good and the bad about her. We can't help the things that are not so good about ourselves. We don't always have any choice. We generally don't. So we just reveal ourselves gradually as to who we are. Now, what you can do, and I think I recommend this very highly, is if you have some significant limitations at the moment, I'll say. For example, let's say you don't have a job. If you want to go through the first phase, which is getting the date, the second phase, which is getting to sleeping together, I would not tell her I don't have a job. I wouldn't lie, but I just wouldn't tell her. Okay, maybe a little bit of pleasant misleading. After you sleep together and she finds out you don't have a job, it's a different story. She still may not want to be with you, but she knows you now better as a person. You've had that physical act together of intimacy, and then you can say, I actually don't have a job right now, and I'm looking, and I have some great prospects, and I'm very hopeful. At that point, she's much more likely to be still remaining interested in you. So I call this progressive disclosure. You got to progressively disclose things like that are kind of deal breakers early on. She wouldn't have gone out with you if she knew you didn't have a job. But the fact is, you're going to have a job and you have a lot of promise and everything's fine in the long run, but she wouldn't know that. So you don't tell her that. You use progressive disclosure until after you sleep together. Maybe the fact, there's other things you may want to sort of progressively disclose. But there's these phases of the relationship. So you definitely don't want to tell her anything bad about you or anything negative about you until after you've slept together, to that phase. You really don't. And even in the longer run in a relationship over a period of months and years, decades, I find that women don't really want to hear about all your problems. They really don't. They don't want to hear about them much at all. They'll admire you for dealing with your problems. They'll have confidence in you if you express that you have a problem and you're dealing with it. They want to have confidence in you, and then they just want to put it out of their mind. They want you to deal with that. They don't want to deal with it. So men make a big mistake when they try to act like women and tell the women about their problems, especially in that pre-dating and the dating phase, even after they slept together. It's really kind of a big mistake. You really don't want to do that. Women will talk to each other about their problems all the time. That's why she has girlfriends, so she can talk about her problems. Men really shouldn't be talking about their problems with a woman until they really have a girlfriend, and then it's generally going to be something that's fairly light. It touches on the thing, and then what you're doing about it, and it makes it like that you're actually dealing with your problem, and that gives her more confidence in you as a man. It's a major mistake to be whining and complaining about your problems early on, and really any time. So it's not masculine. It's actually a feminine trait. And that's why in all the old movies that you see forever, the model of the masculine man is the strong, silent type. He doesn't whine and moan. He just handles his problems. Usually the things that we have in American movies, usually involving 44 Magnums and things like that. But the fact is, there's a lot of truth to that. Women deal with other women and talk about their problems and everything all the time. Men really shouldn't be dealing with a woman and telling her about their problems at all. Whenever I've said this, Jonathan, we've got all these people that'll email or leave comments about the fact that You don't know what you're talking about, Matt. You've never had a really intimate relationship. A man should be able to tell a woman everything. He should be able to open up to her and be vulnerable to her. This is what we're taught by the movies that we have more recently. The old movies, they wouldn't have shown that because it's really not true. It's a bunch of garbage. All of the new movies made in the past 20 or 30 years, oh yeah, the man should be vulnerable and sensitive. A woman's attracted to that. She's not. What's your thought about this?
So it's a trap. What will happen is a woman will say, "Oh, I want you to open up to me. Tell me like what happened. Tell me the worst things that happened. You can share with me." And then she'll go through. First, she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, she's finally doing it. I love it." Then she'll go to disgust. Then she'll go to disdain, and then she'll go to, "I got to get out of this relationship." And it's very common for women to think they want something. Men do this too. We think we want something, then we get it. We realize, "Oh, I don't want this at all." So that's what actually is happening. So whenever a woman says that, "Oh, I really want this guy to open up and show me his emotions and all of that stuff," she's, I guess the best word's lying. Either she doesn't know because it hasn't happened yet, and then, or she does know and it's ended relationships in the past. It's this fantasy. We want this thing that we think we should want that we don't actually want. And I can tell you this because I've been through, even when my wife and I are going through the same emotional pain, my job is to not show that I feel as bad as her. My job is to be the rock so that she can be more emotional. Because what you don't want is when there's a bad situation for both of you to start crying. 'Cause that means there's no one dealing with it. So you don't get to be the emotional one, right? This is why every single time you see one of these women that becomes a man, what do? They go on TikTok and cry about how lonely it is. That's how you know they're not actually a man. It's like, guess what? That's what I signed up for.
Men don't
like,
do that. Men don't say that. They don't complain about that, except on a few
we don't
of these.
complain about it. We don't live life on easy mode. Guess what? No one has ever seen a picture of me and sent me a free gift from Amazon. So there's this huge surprise that women get, which is being a man means you're not as emotional. You have to be in more control of your emotions. You have to be more fastidious. Because how do we feel when men show their emotions? You've never seen a celebrity cry and then be respected. What happens? It's a meme. Immediately, everyone makes fun of that person because men, even when they go through tragedy, are supposed to be tough. So
you remember remember that movie? Did you ever see that movie Descendants with George Clooney? The whole movie, the best actor is the one that's in a coma. That's his wife who's in a coma the whole time, and he's dealing with it with his children, his grown children. And George Clooney was the wrong person for that role. He has a certain image, and you can tell he's like he's a masculine guy. And then in the movie, they have him like crying, and it's just not good. And the same thing, by the way, I think it would be the last James Bond movie. What was the last one that they did? The most recent one with he's done now. What's his name?
Daniel Craig. You mean Skyfall
Daniel
or
Craig,
something
the newest
different?
one. The most recent one. Anyway, he shows him crying at the grave of his wife or was killed. I don't remember that. Again, it's so out of character. You know who wrote these scripts and who decided on this? Women. And women, it's fine. It's exactly what you're saying. It's not what we're supposed to be doing. Women have this emotional need to have escape valves and let off emotional steam all the time. And as a man, you can't be reactive to that. If you're reactive to that, outwardly reactive, you're not governing her, helping her govern her emotions. And she it's not attracted to you. It's a real mess. If you have children or other people relying on you, it's especially a mess. So you really can't do that. And it's just so out of character for real masculinity to be expressing emotions that way. I don't care what the latest movies and things are telling you. And it's not attractive.
The thing to remember is that Hollywood hates you. So movies are designed to... Here's the thing. The people who write the movies write movies, and the actors, what they want is for all the beautiful women to only want them. So they put out information about what doesn't work so that all the guys who watch the movies will mess it up with women, so all the beautiful women will go to Hollywood and date them. That's what they're really doing.
That's a conspiracy theory. That's a conspiracy theory.
Here's the thing. Conspiracy theories are like 40-0 over the last 5 years. So that's kind of a problem, is that like my experience is that conspiracy theories keep getting proven true. Like I would like for one to stay a conspiracy theory. It's kind of a problem I have, is that like every single thing that used to be fun to think about now, it's like Now I'm starting to think maybe the moon landing didn't happen just because conspiracy theories are so consistently right. Like it's getting me a little bit worried. So
I think it's just that women are writing these scripts, and women are in these positions of power in the media now, much more than ever. I think probably
so
60-70% of the time. And I think that they think this is, this is what they think is, not that they would actually be attracted to a guy who's showing his crying and showing his emotions that way. But it's just like they kind of look at men in the scripts as women. That's my theory.
yeah, it could be that. I mean, it's definitely something, but it's very important to understand that entertainment is not education, and that things that work put you out of business. So imagine you're reading a men's magazine. The men's magazine works. You read it, you get a super hot girlfriend who gets wild with you in the bedroom every day. Why would you keep reading the magazine? So they're just like the medical system. Now, their conspiracy theory is designed to treat, not to cure, because they would go out of business. Like they want that recurring income, right? They want to give you a medicine you have to stay on forever, not one that you just take for a few weeks and you're fixed. And that's really more the medical thing. It's more the metaphor, which is that most of the advice you get is designed to not really work, because the advice that works means you don't have to get more advice. So a lot of the things we see about how to deal with emotions, how to interact, it doesn't come from people that are in healthy relationships. Like how many times have you seen people from Hollywood like, oh wow, they have a marriage I want? And it's exactly that, is that women write differently, experience the world differently. And that's the beauty of being different, is that men and women experience things differently. And that if you start to act like a woman, then she has to start acting like a man. It's the only way to maintain the polarity of the relationship. And unless you're on your healing journey, you don't want to mess with the polarity.
Healing journey. I've noticed that it's interesting what you say about couples that are women, because inevitably one will be very butch and one will be much more feminine. So it's like the masculine and the feminine is attractive, even if they're both women. And probably the same as men. But in terms of man-woman relationships, which is our subject, it's the fact that you're opposite that's attractive. And as soon as the man is being an emotionally displaying himself and everything, he's no longer acting like a man, and now he's acting like a woman, and there's not opposites anymore. So that's not attractive. It's not attractive. Now, I will say that for men that are watching, if you want to attract a woman, there's a certain way that you can do it based on scent, because women have almost twice as many neurons dedicated to scent in their brains as men do. And while men look at women and are attracted by what they see, women get up close to a guy and are attracted by his scent. And the best thing you could do with scent is to wear what we call an attraction cologne, which is a specially formulated cologne that smells incredible, but it's not like any of the colognes that you see in the department stores. It's not like a clean smelling, oh, that's wonderful. It contains animalic accords, including ambergris, castoreum, civet, and deer musk. These animalic accords are not in any of the colognes that you get in a department store or even online. And even with colognes that cost between $800 and $1,200. When you start wearing this attraction cologne, women want to be close to you, they want to talk to you, they're more interested, because these have a very dramatic effect in her brain, and women just can't get enough of this scent on a man. The company that is producing, the man that's producing these, will send you a bottle. You don't have to pay for it, just help them out with shipping. And then if you love it as much as everybody does, you keep it. They put the balance on your card, and it's really very inexpensive. If for some reason you don't like it, you can just send it back, and they'll even pay the return postage. Nobody sends it back. People love it. You will love it. An attraction cologne. So click on the link, get your full-size bottle. It's not a little sample. It's a full-size bottle, trial bottle. Just help them out with shipping, and you're going to absolutely find this to be just really the most incredible, helpful thing in your relationship, this attraction cologne. Quantities are limited, very limited. So go ahead, click on the link, and get your attraction cologne right now. And we'll see you on the next video.